The rain didn't mask his footsteps. I heard them before I saw him. That deliberate pace, the one that used to follow me home from work, from the grocery store, from anywhere I thought I was safe. I was cutting through the alley behind 7th Street, my heels splashing through puddles, my dress already soaked through. Stupid. I knew better. But the main road meant lights, crowds, questions I didn't want to answer. Wu Jin stepped out from behind a dumpster, blocking the narrow exit. Ella, that voice. Soft, almost gentle. The same voice that whispered apologies while I counted ceiling tiles in a hospital room. The same voice that promised it would never happen again. 18 months since I'd heard it, and my ribs still remembered. Move. I kept my voice steady, flat, the way the therapist taught me. He smiled. That wasn't good. Wu Jin's smiling meant he'd already decided how this would end. His suit was wrinkled, tie loose. He looked desperate, unhinged. His eyes had that glassy sheen I'd learned to recognize too late the first time. We need to talk. He moved closer. 1 step. 2. The brick wall pressed cold against my back. You blocked my number. Changed your apartment. You think you can just disappear? I did disappear. My hand fumbled for my phone. Dead. Of course it was dead. No. His hand shot out, fingers wrapping around my wrist. Hard. The way they used to. You don't get to leave me, Ella. I let you go to the hospital. I let you press charges. I was being generous. The rain came harder now. Thunder rolled somewhere above the buildings. I tried to pull away. He yanked me forward, his other hand reaching for my throat. Then the air shifted. It was subtle. The kind of change you feel in your chest before your brain catches up. The temperature dropped. The shadows in the alley seemed to thicken, to gather at the far end where the light from the street barely reached. Wu Jin felt it too. His grip loosened, just slightly. A figure stepped out of the darkness. Tall, perfectly still. The rain streamed off an expensive black suit that probably cost more than my rent. His white shirt was unbuttoned at the collar, revealing dark ink that crawled up his neck. His face was all sharp angles and cold precision, like something carved from stone and left to weather in the dark. Seo Jae-hoon. I didn't know his name then. I just knew that when he looked at me, the world stopped spinning. His hand moved inside his jacket. Slow, deliberate. The kind of movement that said he'd done this before and didn't need to rush. She's with me. 3 words. Spoken in a voice that didn't rise above the rain but somehow filled the entire alley. Wu Jin's hand fell away from my wrist like I'd burned him. Who the hell? Wu Jin started. Jae-hoon took 1 step forward. Just 1. But the way he moved, the way he owned the space around him, made it clear that 1 step was all it would take. His expression never changed. No anger, no threat. Just an absolute certainty that made my stomach flip. You have 5 seconds to leave, Jae-hoon said. Or you don't leave at all. Wu Jin looked at me, then at him, then back at me. His jaw clenched. For a moment, I thought he'd actually try something. But whatever he saw in Jae-hoon's eyes made the decision for him. He backed away, stumbling, nearly tripping over his own feet. Then he turned and ran, his footsteps echoing off the wet pavement until they disappeared into the night. I stood there, shaking, my dress torn at the shoulder, my wrist already bruising, the rain plastering my hair to my face. Jae-hoon watched me with an intensity that should have scared me. Maybe it did, but not the way Wu Jin scared me. This was different. You're bleeding. He nodded toward my arm. A small cut from where Wu Jin's ring had caught skin. I'm fine. The words came out automatic. Hollow. No. His eyes didn't leave mine. You're not. A black car pulled up at the end of the alley. Sleek. Silent. The door opened by itself. Or maybe someone inside opened it. I couldn't tell through the tinted windows. Get in, Jae-hoon said. I don't know you. I know. Something flickered across his face. Almost a smile. But not quite. Get in anyway. I should have run. Should have screamed. Should have done literally anything except what I did. I got in the car. Subscribe to find out what happens when Ella discovers Jae-hoon has been watching her for 2 years. Drop a comment with your time zone. I want to know who else is up late spiraling over this story with me. The car smelled like leather and something expensive I couldn't name. Sandalwood, maybe. Or cedar. The kind of scent that came from money, the old kind that didn't need to announce itself. I sat in the back seat, my wet dress clinging to my skin, watching the city blur past tinted windows that turned the streetlights into smears of gold. Jae-hoon sat across from me, perfectly still. He hadn't spoken since we got in the car. hadn't looked at his phone, hadn't adjusted his suit, hadn't done any of the restless things people do when they're trapped in small spaces with strangers. He just watched me with those dark eyes, like he was reading a book he'd already memorized. Where are we going? My voice came out smaller than I wanted. Somewhere safe. That's not an answer. It's the only one that matters right now. He leaned forward slightly, and I caught the edge of those tattoos again. They weren't random. They were deliberate, intricate. The kind that told stories if you knew how to read them. Your wrist. Let me see it. It's fine. Ella. The way he said my name made my breath catch. Like he'd been saying it for years. Like it belonged in his mouth. Let me see it. I held out my arm before I could think better of it. His fingers were warm when they circled my wrist, turning it gently to examine the bruises already forming. Purple blooming into blue. Woojin's fingerprints, branded into my skin one last time. He won't touch you again, Jaehoon said. It wasn't a promise. It was a fact. The same way gravity was a fact. You don't know that. I do. He released my wrist, but didn't move back. Because I've been watching you long enough to know every threat that's ever come close. And I've been removing them one by one. The car stopped. We were in front of a building I didn't recognize. Glass and steel, all sharp edges and expensive architecture. The kind of place where you needed 3 forms of ID just to breathe the lobby air. Come, Jaehoon said, already out of the car. I should have run. Should have screamed. Should have done literally anything except follow him through those gleaming doors, past a security desk where 2 men nodded at him like he was royalty, into an elevator that required a keycard and a thumbprint to activate. The elevator climbed and climbed. My ears popped. When the doors finally opened, we stepped into a penthouse that looked like it had been carved from the sky itself. Floor-to-ceiling windows showed the city sprawling below us, a living circuit board of light and shadow. Sit, Jaehoon said, gesturing to a leather couch that probably cost more than my car. I sat, not because he told me to, but because my legs gave out. He disappeared into another room and returned with a first aid kit. Medical grade, the kind hospitals use. He knelt in front of me, close enough that I could see the individual stitches in his suit, and began cleaning the cut on my arm with movements so gentle they made my chest ache. Who are you? I whispered. Someone who's been waiting a long time to ask if you're all right. He pressed a bandage to my skin. Are you? No. The word came out broken. Honest. I haven't been all right in 18 months. I know. He sat back on his heels, and for the first time, something almost human flickered across his face. I was there. The night you went to the hospital. I saw you tell the nurses you fell down the stairs. My blood went cold. That's not possible. I would have remembered. You were in shock. Crying so hard you couldn't breathe. I was in the hallway when they brought you in. His jaw tightened. I own that hospital, Ella. And when I saw what he did to you, I started keeping a file. The room tilted. Or maybe I did. A file. On everyone who's ever hurt you. Everyone who's ever tried. He stood, walked to a desk by the window, and pulled out a folder. Manila. Innocuous. He set it on the coffee table between us. This is what I've been doing while you've been trying to survive. I didn't want to open it. Didn't want to know. But my hands moved anyway, flipping it open to find pages and pages of surveillance photos, police reports, bank statements. All organized. All annotated in neat handwriting. Woojin's face stared up at me from the first page. But he wasn't alone. There were others. 7 others. Some I recognized. Some I didn't. Marcus, the coworker who used to corner me by the copier, making comments about my body until I started taking the stairs to avoid him. Status. Relocated to Seattle. Blacklisted from industry. Jennifer, Woojin's sister, who sent me threatening emails for months after I pressed charges. Status. Restraining order enforced. Legal fees paid anonymously. David, my landlord's son, who had keys to my apartment and used to let himself in when I wasn't home. Status. Lease transferred. Building sold. The list went on and on. Each person meticulously documented. Each threat quietly neutralized. You did this. My voice barely worked. All of this. Yes. Why? Jaehoon moved to the window, his reflection sharp against the glass. Because the first time I saw you, you were broken. And I decided you wouldn't stay that way. The air left my lungs. This wasn't protection. This was possession. This was a man who'd taken my entire life and rearranged it like furniture, all without asking permission. I need to leave. I stood, my legs shaking. I need to go home. You don't have a home anymore. He turned to face me. Your apartment lease ended yesterday. Your landlord sold the building to a development company. You have 30 days to vacate. What? The room spun. That's not, he never said. I bought the building, Jae-hoon said simply. I needed you somewhere I could see you. Somewhere Woo-jin couldn't find you. So I moved the pieces. I backed toward the elevator. You're insane. You're just as bad as him. No. One word. Absolute. He closed the distance between us in 3 strides, but he didn't touch me. Just stood there, close enough that I could feel the heat coming off his body. Woo-jin wanted to break you. I want to keep you whole. There's a difference. Is there? Tears burned behind my eyes. Because from where I'm standing, you're both men who think they own me. Something cracked in his expression. Pain, maybe. Or regret. I don't own you, Ella. But I've spent 18 months making sure no one else can hurt you. And if that makes me a monster, then I'll be a monster. But you'll be safe. The elevator doors opened. I could leave. Should leave. But my feet wouldn't move. Because he was right. I hadn't been safe in 18 months. I'd been holding my breath, waiting for Woo-jin to show up. Waiting for the next threat. The next bruise. The next trip to the emergency room where I'd lie about how it happened. And this stranger, this dangerous man with his expensive suits and his careful hands, had been standing between me and all of that without me ever knowing. I can't stay here, I said finally. Then I'll take you wherever you want to go. He stepped back, giving me space. But Woo-jin knows where you work, knows your routines, knows everyone you love. If you leave, I can't protect you the way I have been. Maybe I don't want your protection. Maybe. He pulled his phone from his pocket and held it out. The screen showed a text message from Woo-jin's brother. Sent 3 hours ago. Found her address. She's going to pay for what she did to him. My knees buckled. Jae-hoon caught me before I hit the floor, his arms solid and steady around me. You were never going to make it home tonight, he said quietly. He was waiting. I had people remove him before you left work. That's why you took the alley. I made sure it was the only route that felt safe. You set this up. I pushed against his chest, but he held firm. You orchestrated the whole thing. I saw an opportunity to show you the truth. His grip loosened, but he didn't let go. That you've been living in a cage, Ella. And I'm offering you a different one. A prettier one, maybe, but one where the locks are on the inside. If you're still here, at whatever hour it is where you are, hit subscribe. Comment below with where you're watching from. I need to know I'm not the only one who can't look away from this. Because what happens next is going to change everything. I woke up in a bed I didn't recognize. The sheets were Egyptian cotton, the kind that cost more than my monthly grocery budget. Sunlight streamed through windows I didn't remember falling asleep near. For one blissful second, I thought it had all been a nightmare. Then I saw Jae-hoon sitting in a chair by the window, reading a book like he'd been there all night. You passed out, he said without looking up. Shock, most likely. I had a doctor come. You're fine. A doctor came here? I sat up too fast. The room swayed. In the middle of the night? I pay him well for his discretion. Of course he did. I looked around the room. Minimalist furniture. Expensive art on the walls. A door that probably led to a bathroom bigger than my old bedroom. How long was I out? 6 hours. He closed his book and finally met my eyes. It's 7 in the morning. You're supposed to be at work in 2 hours. Work. My job at the marketing firm. The one I'd fought so hard to keep after everything with Woo-jin fell apart. I need to call them. Tell them I'm sick. Already done. You're taking a personal day. You called my work? I had someone call on your behalf. He stood, smoothing his suit. It was a different one from last night. Charcoal instead of black. Which meant he'd changed. Which meant there were clothes here. Which meant this place was more than just a safe house. I also canceled your appointments for the rest of the week and arranged for your mail to be forwarded. You can't just, I stopped. Because he could. He had. And there was nothing I could do about it. This is kidnapping. The door isn't locked. He gestured toward it. You're free to leave whenever you want. But before you do, there's something you need to see. He picked up a tablet from the dresser and handed it to me. The screen showed Woo-jin's social media profiles. His Instagram, his Facebook, his Twitter. All of them were gone. Not deactivated. Deleted. Scrubbed from the internet like he'd never existed. What did you do? My voice came out hoarse. I gave him a choice. Jae-hoon's expression didn't change. Disappear quietly or disappear permanently. He chose the former. You can't just make someone vanish. I can. And I did. He took the tablet back. His phone is disconnected. His bank accounts are frozen. His passport is flagged. If he tries to contact you, I'll know within minutes. If he tries to come near you, he won't make it across the street. I should have been horrified. Should have been calling the police. Should have been doing anything except sitting there, feeling the strange, sick relief flooding through my veins. Woojin was gone. Actually gone. For the first time in 18 months, I didn't have to look over my shoulder. His brother, I said. The text message, is currently on a plane to Singapore with a job offer he couldn't refuse. He'll be there for the next 3 years. Minimum. Jesus Christ. I pressed my hands to my face. You're not real. This isn't real. It's very real, Ella. And it's been real for longer than you know. He moved toward the door. Get dressed. There's breakfast waiting. And then we need to talk about what happens next. He left before I could respond. I sat there for a long time, staring at the door, trying to make sense of the impossible situation I'd woken up in. Finally, I got up. Found a bathroom that was, indeed, bigger than my bedroom. Found a closet with clothes in my exact size, tags still on, arranged by color like someone had studied my wardrobe and replicated it with expensive taste. I should have been terrified. Should have been planning my escape. But as I showered in water that was the perfect temperature, using products that smelled like jasmine and vanilla, wearing a robe that felt like a cloud, all I could think was, when was the last time someone took care of me like this? The answer was never. No one had ever taken care of me like this. And that was the most dangerous thought of all. Breakfast was waiting in a dining room with a view that made my chest ache. The city spread out below us like a kingdom, and for a moment, I understood why Jae-hoon moved through the world like he owned it. From up here, he did. He sat at the head of the table, already eating. Toast and eggs and fruit arranged like art. A newspaper folded beside his plate. He looked up when I entered, something almost soft crossing his face before it hardened again. Sit. I sat. Not because he told me to, but because the food smelled incredible and I couldn't remember the last time I'd eaten. We ate in silence. It should have been uncomfortable, but it wasn't. It was almost peaceful. Like we'd done this 1,000 times before. The file you showed me, I said finally. The 7 people. How long have you been watching me? Since the night you were admitted to my hospital. He set down his fork. I was there for a board meeting. I saw you in the waiting room. Saw the way you held yourself. Like you were trying to take up as little space as possible. Like you were apologizing for existing. I don't remember you. I didn't want you to. He leaned back in his chair. I wanted to understand what happened to you before I decided what to do about it. So you had me investigated. Thoroughly. No apology in his voice. No shame. I learned everything. Your childhood. Your education. Your relationships. The pattern of abuse Woojin established over 2 years. The friends who stopped calling because he isolated you. The family who didn't know how bad it was because you hid it so well. Tears burned behind my eyes. You had no right. I had every right. His voice hardened. Because someone needed to care about what happened to you. And it clearly wasn't going to be anyone in your life. The words hit like a slap. Because they were true. My parents lived across the country, too wrapped up in their own problems to notice mine. My friends had drifted away, tired of canceled plans and excuses. I'd been alone for so long I'd forgotten what it felt like to matter to someone. Why? The question came out broken. Why do you care? Jae-hoon stood and walked to the window. The morning light cut across his features, making the tattoos on his neck look like they were moving. Because the first time I saw you, you reminded me of something I'd lost. Something I didn't think I'd ever find again. What? The belief that some things are worth protecting. He turned to face me. I've spent my life destroying things, Ella. Building an empire on fear and violence. And then I saw you, barely holding yourself together in a hospital waiting room, and I thought, here's something I could build instead of break. I'm not a project. No. He crossed the room and knelt beside my chair, the same way he had the night before. You're a rare thing, and rare things need to be protected, even if that protection comes from someone dangerous. Especially then, I whispered. His hand came up, hovering near my face, but not quite touching. I'm going to keep you safe. I'm going to remove every threat. I'm going to give you a life where you never have to be afraid again. And all I ask in return is that you let me. That's not all you're asking. No, he admitted. I'm asking you to trust a monster. I'm asking you to believe that the man who's been manipulating your life for 18 months is doing it for the right reasons. I'm asking you to let me keep you. And if I say no, then I'll take you home. I'll keep watching from a distance. But you'll never be as safe as you are right here. His hand finally made contact, his fingers brushing my cheek so gently it made my heart stutter. And we both know it. I closed my eyes, let myself feel the warmth of his hand, the solid presence of him, the absolute certainty that he meant every word. I need time, I said finally. Time is the one thing I can give you. He stood, that professional mask sliding back into place. Stay as long as you need. The penthouse is yours. Everything in it is yours. And when you're ready to decide, I'll be waiting. He left me there, surrounded by luxury I didn't ask for, safety I didn't deserve, and the terrible knowledge that somewhere along the way, I'd stopped wanting to leave. Drop a like if you're still breathing after that. Subscribe to see what Ella finds when she starts digging into Jaehoon's past. Comment your theories below because I need to know. Is he saving her or claiming her? Or is it the same thing? The black car appeared on Tuesday. I'd spent 3 days in Jaehoon's penthouse, 3 days of wandering through rooms that felt like museums, of eating food that appeared as if by magic, of sleeping in that too-soft bed and waking up disoriented every single time. Jaehoon was barely there. He'd leave before I woke up and return late, smelling like expensive cologne and something darker. Smoke, maybe, or danger. We'd have dinner in that strange, comfortable silence, and then he'd disappear into his study, while I pretended I wasn't waiting for him. On Tuesday, I went back to my apartment to collect the last of my things before the building sold. Jaehoon had offered to have it done for me, but I needed to see it one more time. Needed to remember what my life looked like before he stepped out of the shadows. The car was parked across the street. Black, tinted windows. Expensive. I told myself it was paranoia. The city was full of black cars, but this one felt different. This one felt like it was watching. I grabbed my box of books and headed for my car. The black sedan pulled up behind me. It followed me for 6 blocks. At a red light, I watched it in my rearview mirror. Tried to see through the windows. Couldn't. My phone rang. Jaehoon, where are you? His voice was tight. Driving. I went to my apartment. I know. Turn left at the next intersection. What? Turn left. Now. I turned left. The black car followed. Jaehoon, it's mine, he said. The car. It's been following you for 4 months. I needed to make sure you were safe when I couldn't be there. The world tilted. For months. Not 3 days. Not since the alley. 4 months. You've been stalking me. I've been protecting you. That's the same thing. No. His voice went cold. Stalking is what Woojin did. Showing up at your work. Going through your mail. Installing tracking software on your phone. I know, because I had to remove it all. What I did was surveillance. And it kept you alive. I pulled over, my hands shaking too hard to drive. How long? Silence. How long, Jaehoon? Since the hospital. A pause. Since you lied to the nurses and said you fell. Since I watched you walk out of my building with fractured ribs and a bruised throat, and I knew you'd go back to him if someone didn't stop you. You don't know that. I do, because I had someone watching your apartment. And 3 days later, you let him in. Forgave him. Believed him when he said it wouldn't happen again. His voice dropped to something deadly. It took another 4 months before he put you in the hospital a second time. And I decided I was done watching. The black car pulled up beside me. The window rolled down. A man I didn't recognize looked out. Korean. 30s. Expression carved from granite. Miss James. Mr. CEO would like you to return to the penthouse. I need to finish. Now, Miss James. It wasn't a request. I followed the car back. The whole way, my mind was spinning. 4 months of surveillance. 2 years of intervention. How many other things had Jaehoon orchestrated without my knowledge? When I got to the penthouse, he was waiting. Still in a suit. Still perfect. But there was something fractured around the edges now. Something almost vulnerable. I should have told you, he said before I could speak. Yes, you should have. But you wouldn't have believed me. You would have thought I was insane. Dangerous. You are dangerous. Yes. He moved toward me. But not to you. Never to you. How can you say that? I backed away. You've controlled every aspect of my life for 2 years. You've manipulated my job, my home, my safety. I've kept you alive. The words exploded out of him. I've kept you whole when everyone else was content to let you break. Your friends who didn't notice the bruises. Your family who didn't ask why you stopped calling. Your coworkers who pretended they couldn't hear you crying in the bathroom. I'm the only one who cared enough to do something about it. By stalking me. By loving you. The words hung in the air between us. Heavy. Impossible. Jaehoon's face went white. Like he hadn't meant to say it. Like the truth had been torn out of him against his will. You don't love me, I whispered. You don't even know me. I know everything about you. He closed the distance between us. I know you take your coffee black because Woojin used to say you were getting fat. I know you stopped painting because he threw out your supplies. I know you sleep on the left side of the bed and you haven't had a full night's rest in 2 years. I know your favorite color is yellow, but you never wear it because he said it made you look washed out. I know you cry in the shower so no one can hear you. I know you're afraid of the dark now when you never used to be. I know every single thing that man took from you, Ella. And I've spent 2 years trying to give it back. Tears streamed down my face. That's not love. That's obsession. Maybe. His hand came up, wiping away my tears with a gentleness that broke something inside me. But it's the only kind I know how to give. The apartment felt too small suddenly. Too close. I needed air. Space. Clarity. I need to see the file, I said. The real file. Everything you have on me. Ella. Everything. He studied me for a long moment, then nodded, walked to his study and returned with a box. Banker's box. Heavy. He set it on the coffee table. It's all here, he said quietly. 2 years of surveillance. Photos. Reports. Hospital records I shouldn't have access to. Police reports I had sealed. Everything. I opened the box. The first thing I saw was a photo of myself, leaving the hospital. My arm in a sling. My face bruised. I looked so small. So broken. The second thing was a note, handwritten. Jaehoon's neat script. Day 1. She doesn't know it yet, but she's mine now. I kept reading. Page after page of obsessive documentation. Photos of me at work. At the grocery store. At the coffee shop where I spent Sunday mornings trying to feel normal. And underneath each photo, notes. Observations. Concerns. Day 47. He's texting her again. She's crying. I'm moving her promotion forward. Day 103. She changed her locks. I had her landlord install a security camera. Day 156. She went on a date. I had him background checked. Clean. But she left early. She's not ready. On and on. 2 years of my life. Curated by a man I'd never met. 2 years of invisible hands moving pieces on a board I didn't know I was playing on. The final page was dated 3 days ago. The night in the alley. Day 687. He touched her. I'm done waiting. Time to bring her home. I looked up at Jaehoon. He was watching me with an expression I couldn't read. You're insane, I said. Yes, you've broken approximately 60 laws. More. You've violated my privacy in ways I can't even begin to process. I know. And you think this is love? I think, he said slowly, that love is doing whatever it takes to protect what's precious. Even if it makes you a monster. Even if it means she'll never forgive you. He knelt in front of me, his eyes meeting mine. I think love is being willing to be the villain in her story if it means she gets to survive. That's not love, Jaehoon. My voice broke. That's martyrdom. Then I'm a martyr. His hand found mine. But you're alive. You're safe. And you'll never have to be afraid again. So if that makes me the villain, I'll wear it. I should have run. Should have called the police. Should have done anything except what I did. I grabbed my phone and left before I could do something stupid. The elevator ride down felt like falling. By the time I hit the lobby, I was already calling Simone, my best friend from college. The only person who'd stuck around after Woo Jin started isolating me. The only one who'd visited me in the hospital and didn't ask questions I wasn't ready to answer. She answered on the second ring. Ella? Oh my God, where have you been? I've been trying to reach you for days. I need to see you. My voice cracked. Now, can you meet me at that coffee shop on 5th? The one we used to go to? Yeah, give me 20 minutes. I made it there in 15. Ordered a coffee I didn't drink and sat in the corner booth where Simone and I used to plan our futures. Back when futures seemed possible. Simone arrived looking exactly like herself. Braids pulled back, vintage leather jacket, concern written all over her face. She slid into the booth across from me and didn't say anything, just waited. That was Simone. Patient. Steady. Everything I hadn't been in 2 years. I think I'm losing my mind, I said finally. Okay. She reached across the table, took my hand. Start from the beginning. So I did. I told her about the alley, about Jaehoon, about the penthouse and the file and the 2 years of surveillance. Simone listened without interrupting, but her expression changed, hardened. Ella, she said when I finished, you need to hear this, and you're not going to like it. I already don't like any of this. He's not saving you. She squeezed my hand. He's collecting you. The words hit like ice water. What? Think about it. Your promotion, your apartment, your safety. He's controlling every single aspect of your life and making it look like protection. She leaned forward. That's what abusers do, Ella. They isolate you. They make you dependent. They convince you that you need them more than you need yourself. He's not Woo Jin. No, he's worse. Her eyes were fierce. Because Woo Jin was obvious. Violent. Easy to recognize as a threat. But Jaehoon? He's subtle. He's patient. He's been playing the long game for 2 years, and now you're exactly where he wants you. Grateful. dependent, confused about your own feelings. He's kept me safe. At what cost? Simone's voice rose. Your job? He controls it. Your home? He owns it. Your life? He's been directing it like a movie for 2 years without your consent. That's not love, Ella. That's ownership. I wanted to argue, wanted to defend him, but the words stuck in my throat because part of me knew she was right. What am I supposed to do? I whispered. Leave. Now. Today. Come stay with me. We'll figure it out together. He knows where you live. Then we'll go somewhere he doesn't know. She stopped. Stared at me. You don't want to leave, do you? I couldn't meet her eyes. Ella. Her hand tightened on mine. Please tell me you're not falling for this. I don't know what I'm doing. Tears burned. I just know that for the first time in 2 years, I feel safe. And I know that's probably messed up and unhealthy and exactly what you're warning me about, but I can't. My voice broke. I can't go back to being afraid all the time. Simone pulled her hand away, sat back. The disappointment on her face made me want to disappear. You're choosing him, she said quietly. I'm choosing to not be terrified every second of every day. Those aren't the same thing. She stood. But I can't make you see that. Just promise me something. What? When you realize what you've gotten yourself into, when you see the cage for what it is, call me. I'll come get you. No questions asked. She left before I could respond. Left me sitting there with cold coffee and the terrible knowledge that she might be right. That I might be trading one prison for another. A prettier one with better locks and softer bars, but a prison nonetheless. My phone buzzed. Jaehoon, are you safe? I stared at the message. 3 words. Simple, but loaded with all the control Simone had just warned me about. Yes, come home. Home. He'd said home. Like the penthouse was mine. Like I belonged there. I need more time. Take it. But there's something you should know. Woojin's brother is asking questions. He knows you're under protection. And he's not backing down. My blood went cold. What does that mean? It means I need to make a public statement. Something that leaves no room for doubt. What kind of statement? The kind that claims you publicly. The kind that tells everyone in my world that you're mine to protect. And if I say no, then I do it anyway. Because your safety is more important than your permission. I should have been furious. Should have thrown the phone across the coffee shop. But all I felt was a strange, sick relief. Because part of me wanted that claim. Wanted the world to know I was under the protection of someone dangerous enough to make threats evaporate. When? Tonight. There's a gala. I need you there. Beside me. I don't have anything to wear to a gala. Yes, you do. It's in your closet. The red one. Of course it was. I went back to the penthouse. Not because he told me to, but because I was tired of running from the inevitable. The dress was perfect. Red silk that moved like water. Cut low enough to be dangerous. High enough to be elegant. Shoes that cost more than my old rent. Jewelry that looked like it belonged in a museum. I put it all on. Let myself be transformed into someone I didn't recognize. Someone who looked like she belonged next to a man like Jaehoon. He was waiting in the living room when I emerged. In a tuxedo that made him look like he'd stepped out of a dream. Or a nightmare. His eyes swept over me once, and something dark and possessive flashed across his face. You're beautiful, he said simply. I'm terrified. Good. He offered his arm. That means you understand what tonight means. The gala was being held at a hotel so expensive I'd only ever seen it in magazines. The kind of place where politicians and criminals mix drinks and secrets in equal measure. Jaehoon guided me through the crowd with a hand on the small of my back. Proprietary. Claiming. Every eye in the room tracked us. Whispers followed in our wake. They're staring, I whispered. They should be. His mouth was close to my ear. They're witnessing something that hasn't happened in a decade. What? Me claiming someone publicly. Me bringing a woman into my world without vetting her first. Without permission from the people I answer to. He turned me to face him. This is dangerous, Ella. For both of us. But especially for me. Before I could respond, he walked me to the center of the ballroom. The crowd parted. A microphone appeared. Jaehoon's hand never left mine. Thank you all for coming, he said, his voice carrying across the room. I have an announcement to make. The room went silent. This is Ella James. She is under my protection. Anyone who threatens her, threatens me. Anyone who touches her, answers to me. Anyone who even looks at her wrong will learn exactly what I'm willing to do to keep what's mine safe. His grip on my hand tightened. She is off limits. Untouchable. And if anyone has a problem with that, they can take it up with me. Now, no one moved. No one spoke. The silence was so complete I could hear my own heartbeat. Then someone started clapping. Slow, deliberate. Others joined in. Within seconds, the entire room was applauding. but it didn't feel like celebration. It felt like a threat had just been made, and everyone had acknowledged it. If you're still with me, hit that subscribe button, because what happens next is going to test everything Ella thought she knew about safety. Drop a comment with your theories. Is Jaehoon protecting her or claiming her? Or is there even a difference anymore? We left the gala an hour later. Jaehoon barely spoke, just guided me to a car I didn't recognize and gave an address I'd never heard. Where are we going? I asked. Somewhere safer than the penthouse. His jaw was tight. Tonight changed things. Made you a target. I need you somewhere only I can find you. How is that different from kidnapping? It's not. He looked at me finally. But you're still breathing, so I'm doing something right. The car drove for an hour. Out of the city. Into hills I didn't recognize. Finally, we pulled up to a house that looked like it had grown out of the mountainside. All glass and steel and impossible architecture. This is your home? I asked. One of them. He helped me out of the car. The only one that matters now. Inside was nothing like the penthouse. That had been a showcase. This was lived in. Real. There were books on shelves that looked red. Art on walls that wasn't there to impress. A kitchen that smelled like someone actually cooked in it. And in the living room, a record player. Vintage. Surrounded by albums in pristine condition. I walked over, started flipping through them. Miles Davis. John Coltrane. Billie Holiday. All first pressings. All meticulously cared for. You like jazz, I said. My father did. Jaehoon's voice came from behind me. He was a pianist. Before he died. I turned. I didn't know that. There's a lot you don't know about me. He moved to the record player, selected an album. The opening notes of My Funny Valentine filled the room. I spent 2 years learning everything about you. Maybe it's time you learned something about me. Okay. I sat on the couch. Tell me. He poured 2 glasses of water. Handed me one. Sat beside me. Not touching, but close enough that I could feel the warmth of him. My father was a good man, he said quietly. Too good for the world we lived in. He believed music could save people, could make them remember they were human. He took a drink. They killed him for it, for being soft, for believing in beauty instead of power. How old were you? 15. The word was flat, empty. I found his body, and I learned that beauty doesn't protect you. Power does. So you built an empire. I built a cage. He looked at me, a prettier one than my father had, with better locks and sharper teeth. And I told myself I'd never be vulnerable enough to die for something as stupid as belief. Until me. Until you. He set down his glass. You walked into my hospital, barely holding yourself together, and I saw my father in you. That same stupid belief that things could be better, that you deserved better. And I decided that if the world was going to kill that in you, it would have to go through me first. Tears slipped down my face. That's the saddest thing I've ever heard. Probably. He wiped my tears away with his thumb. But it's true. You remind me that there are still things worth protecting. Still things worth dying for. And if my organization has a problem with that, then I'll burn it all down to keep you safe. That's insane. Yes. He stood, walked to a safe I hadn't noticed. Opened it. Pulled out a gun. The same one from the alley. But I've been insane since the night I saw you. And I'm okay with that. He set the gun on the coffee table between us. This is what I was prepared to use, he said. In front of 100 witnesses. In front of my own people. I was going to put a bullet in Woo Jin's head in that alley. Consequences be damned. Why didn't you? Because you were watching. And I didn't want the first memory you had of me to be murder. He sat back down. But make no mistake, Ella. I will kill for you. I will die for you. I will burn the entire world down if it means you're safe. That's not a threat. It's a promise. I stared at the gun. At this man who'd turned my entire life upside down. At the choice I'd been dancing around for 3 days. Stay or go. Safety or freedom. Love or sanity. I'm worth that much to you. I whispered. You're worth everything to me. He took my hand. But I need to know if I'm worth anything to you. Because what I did tonight, claiming you publicly, it's going to have consequences. My organization doesn't approve of unvetted claims. Of bringing civilians into our world without clearance. What kind of consequences? The kind that might get us both killed if I don't handle it right. His grip tightened. So I need to know, Ella. Are you in this? Really in this? Because if you're not, I need to get you out now before it's too late. I looked at the gun. At the jazz records. At the man who'd orchestrated my entire life from the shadows. The man who'd just told a room full of dangerous people that I was his. The man who was offering me a cage so pretty I almost couldn't see the bars. Simone's warning echoed in my head. He's not saving you. He's collecting you. But maybe that was okay. Maybe being collected by someone who saw you as precious was better than being abandoned by people who saw you as disposable. Maybe safety was worth the cost of freedom. Maybe love didn't have to be healthy to be real. I'm in, I said. Jaehoon's eyes closed. Like I'd just given him absolution. Salvation. Like my 3 words had changed everything. Thank you, he breathed. Then his phone rang. The sound cut through the room like a gunshot. Jaehoon's entire body went rigid. He looked at the screen, and something dark crossed his face. I need to take this. He stood. Stay here. He walked to the far side of the room. Answered. Yes. I couldn't hear the other side of the conversation, but I watched Jaehoon's posture change. Watched his jaw tighten. Watched his free hand curl into a fist. I understand. His voice was cold. Dead. I'll handle it. He hung up. Stood there for a long moment, staring out the window at the mountains beyond. Jaehoon, that was my superior. He turned to face me. The man I report to in the organization. He's not happy about tonight's announcement. What does that mean? It means I've been summoned. I need to explain why I claimed you without permission. Why I brought a civilian into our world without vetting her. Why I risked our entire operation for one woman. He crossed back to me. And if my explanation isn't good enough, there will be consequences. What kind of consequences? The kind that start with me and end with everyone I care about. He knelt in front of me again. I need you to understand something. What happens in the next few days will determine everything. If my organization accepts you, we have a future. If they don't, then I'll have to choose between you and everything I've built. And I already know which one I'll pick. My heart stopped. You can't. I can. And I will. He took both my hands. Because I meant what I said. You're worth everything. Even if everything is all I have to give. Jaehoon, I need to go. Now. But I'm leaving guards. 6 of them. Don't leave this house. Don't answer the door. Don't trust anyone except me. He stood. And Ella. Yeah. If something happens to me, there's a folder in the safe. It has everything you need. Money. New identity. Instructions on how to disappear. Promise me you'll use it. Nothing's going to happen to you. Promise me. I promise. Then he left. And I was alone in a house full of jazz records and secrets, wondering if I'd just chosen safety or signed my own death warrant. Subscribe and follow to see if Jaehoon survives his summons. Comment your predictions below because this is either a love story or a tragedy, and I genuinely don't know which one anymore. Either way, I need you here for whatever comes next. The guards were silent, professional. They took positions around the house without a word, moving like shadows. I counted 6, just like Jaehoon said. All Korean. All watching me with expressions I couldn't read. I tried calling him. Straight to voicemail. Tried texting. No response. The hours crawled by. I wandered the house, discovering more pieces of the man I'd chosen. A library full of philosophy and poetry. A gym that looked military grade. A bedroom that was almost monastic in its simplicity. And everywhere, those jazz records. Hundreds of them. A lifetime of collecting. Of holding on to the one thing his father had loved. I found myself back in the living room. Put on another album. Chet Baker this time. I fall in love too easily. The irony wasn't lost on me. Dawn broke. Still no word from Jaehoon. I tried his number again. Nothing. One of the guards appeared in the doorway. Miss James. Mr. CO has sent word. He's on his way back. He'll be here within the hour. Relief flooded through me. Is he okay? The guard's expression flickered. He's alive. That wasn't the same thing as okay. I waited by the window. Watched the sun climb over the mountains. Watched the driveway. Watched for any sign of the man who'd promised me safety and then walked into danger for the privilege. Finally, a car appeared. Black. Familiar. It pulled up fast, tires spitting gravel. Jaehoon got out. He looked different. Tired. There was blood on his collar. Not his, I hoped. His suit was rumpled. His hair disheveled. But he was walking. Breathing. Alive. I met him at the door. He stopped when he saw me, something breaking across his face. You're still here, he said. Where else would I be? Smart people would have run. I guess I'm not smart. He closed the distance between us, pulled me into his arms, held me so tight I could barely breathe. They know about you, he said into my hair. Everything. They ran a background check, looked into your past, your family, your connection to Woo Jin. Everything. And they're not happy. But they're willing to give me time to prove you're not a liability. 6 months. If you can integrate into our world, if you can prove you're trustworthy, they'll accept the claim. And if I can't, then they'll make you disappear. And they'll make me watch. I pulled back to look at him. That's the choice? Become part of your organization or die? That's the choice. His eyes were haunted. I'm sorry. I should have known this would happen. Should have prepared you better. Should have what? Not claimed me? Not protected me? Not given me the only safety I've felt in years. I touched his face. This is the cage, isn't it? The pretty one you warned me about. The one with locks on the inside. Yes. And you're asking me to lock myself in. Willingly. Permanently. Yes. I thought about Simone's warning. About the life I'd had before. The independence. The fear. The constant vigilance. I thought about the alternative. 6 months to prove I could belong in a world I didn't understand. 6 months to transform from victim to something else entirely. 6 months with a man who'd been willing to die for me before I ever knew his name. Teach me, I said. What? Teach me how to survive in your world. Teach me the rules. The politics. The things I need to know to be more than just your weakness. I stepped closer. Because I'm not going to be the thing that gets you killed, Jae-hoon. If I'm going to be yours, then I'm going to be your strength. Not your liability. Something like hope flickered across his face. That's dangerous. Everything about you is dangerous. I smiled. I'm just learning to match your energy. He laughed. Actually laughed. The sound was rusty, like he didn't use it often. You're going to destroy me. His arms tightened around me. 6 months. 6 months, I agreed. And then we'll see who's collecting who. Outside, the sun climbed higher. The guards took their positions. The world kept spinning, indifferent to the choice I'd just made. Somewhere in the city, Simone was probably worrying about me, waiting for the call that would never come. Somewhere in the mountains, Jae-hoon's organization was watching, waiting to see if I'd survive. And somewhere between the fear and the safety, the cage and the freedom, I found something I hadn't expected. Peace. The kind that came from choosing danger over uncertainty. Protection over independence. A monster over the world that had made him one. Jae-hoon's phone buzzed. He glanced at it. His expression darkened. What is it? Woo-jin's brother. He showed me the message. A photo of Simone leaving her apartment. He's not backing down. He's escalating. Ice flooded my veins. Simone. I'll handle it. He was already texting his people. She'll have protection by the time she reaches her car. Round the clock. He won't get near her. He's using her to get to me. Yes. Jae-hoon's eyes met mine. This is what the next 6 months looks like, Ella. Everyone you care about becomes a target. Everyone you love becomes a weakness they can exploit. Are you sure you want this? I thought about Simone. About the disappointment on her face. About the warning she'd given me. Then I thought about the alternative. Going back to my old life. Leaving her exposed because I'd been associated with her. Putting her in danger by walking away. I'm sure, I said. But we protect her. No matter what. Already done. He pulled me close again. This is the world you've chosen. Ugly. Dangerous. Built on the bodies of people who underestimated what we're willing to do. Then I'll learn to be ugly too. I looked up at him. Whatever it takes. Whatever it takes, he echoed. And somewhere in the mountains, in a house full of jazz and secrets and promises made in blood, Ella James disappeared. And someone else began to take her place. Someone harder, sharper, dangerous. Someone worthy of the man who'd been willing to burn down the world to keep her safe. Someone who'd learned to burn it right back. The music played on. Chet Baker singing about falling in love too easily. About hearts too eager to break. But I wasn't breaking anymore. I was becoming something else entirely. And the world would just have to learn to live with that. Or die trying.